So recently I've been experiencing so many synchronicities in my life. And synchronicities happen in my life when I'm living in the flow of my life, which means that I am releasing all resistance. I am releasing negative emotions and living in this present moment with joy and happiness. So recently I attended the Conscious Life Expo for 2 days, and I experienced so many synchronicities there. And there was one particular synchronicity that really stood out, that I really felt so connected to the universe, that I felt that all the energies, that chi energy, were just flowing my way, and everything, all the cooperative components were coming together in a way that was so magical. And so there's a YouTuber named Phan, and I'm sure many of you know who she is if you watch YouTube videos. She's got like 9 million subscribers. Seriously, 9 million subscribers on her YouTube channel. So the night before I was going to attend the Conscious Life Expo, it was a Friday night, and I was going to attend the expo on Saturday and Sunday. I was watching some YouTube videos, and there was a YouTube video that was recommended to me by YouTube. And this YouTube video was created by a YouTuber named Evan Carmichael. And he did a video about Phan's life, about how she went from food stamps to this internet entrepreneur who inspires millions of millennials around the world. And you know, I don't watch Phan's videos, and it's not because I don't like her videos, it's because her content is really more for the millennial generation. So I'm way past millennial generation, so her content doesn't really resonate with me as much. So I never watch her videos. However, I decided to watch this video because it seemed like a very inspiring story, how she went from rags to riches, you know, from this humble food stamps to being this big influencer. That's an inspiring story for all of us, right? And so basically the story is that her mother, because they were on food stamps, wanted her to become a doctor, secure financially, status, you know, all those things that we think a doctor is, you know, have lots of money, have a secure job. But Phan just wanted to follow her heart. She wanted to follow her soul's path and wanted to become an artist. And one of the ways that she could express her art was through makeup, because the face was like her canvas. And when she places makeup on her face, that's when she felt she was expressing her art and expressing her truest, highest expression of herself, expanding her soul, being on that soul's path. So she basically was so independent in following her soul's path that she went against her mother and started doing these videos on YouTube with makeup tutorial, which made her huge. I mean, 9 million followers, that's pretty huge, right? So the next morning before I attended the conference, I was having breakfast with my husband, and I was telling him about Phan's inspiring story, that the lesson here is to follow our heart, follow our love, follow our passion, our soul's path. I always say, follow your soul's path. And you know, I never talk about Phan. I never watch her videos. So literally, this was probably the first time that I ever really mentioned Phan. I mean, I talk about Oprah a lot. I mean, she's one of my spiritual icons, but I don't talk about Phan. So then after breakfast, I attend the Conscious Life Expo, and about 1 o'clock, I'm feeling hungry. And the conference was so wonderful in the morning, and I had some synchronicities in the morning, even that day. But I break for lunch at 1 o'clock, and so I bring my falafel to a table where you stand. There are these round tables, and you just stand and eat at the round tables. And I'm sharing this table with this wonderful woman next to me who also is having a fabulous day at the expo. And we're sharing this lively conversation, and we're just really enjoying that moment of eating and conversing positive thoughts, positive words. And all of a sudden, there are these 3 or 4 people that just walk up to our table because the other side of the table is still empty, and asked if we would share it with them. And of course, we said yes. And I look up, and the woman right in front of me looks exactly like Michelle Phan. And I'm thinking in my mind, oh, Michelle Phan would never attend the Conscious Life Expo. What a wrong presumption that was, right? So I say to her, I say, you look just like Michelle Phan. And to that statement, she said, I am Michelle Phan. And all of a sudden, that moment, I knew that it was synchronicity, that all of the universal forces was attracting me to her, her to me, that our vibrational frequencies were now matched, just like this. And all those universal components came together because I was just living in the flow. I had no resistance. I was living in the power of now. And so those universal forces, those laws of attractions just work like this. And that's how it works. It just pops. These events just pop. And so I said to Michelle, I said, Michelle, I said, you can't believe this. I was literally talking about you this morning, and because I saw a video about you last night, about your life, and I never watch your videos. And she said she wasn't offended that I never watch her videos. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I wasn't shocked because I saw a celebrity in front of me. I was so shocked because of the synchronicity, because of the universal forces that brought us together. That was the part that I was so in awe of. And so I told Michelle Phan, I said, this is synchronicity. And she agreed with me. She agreed that it was all universal forces that brought us together. So in order to prove that this actually happened, Michelle and I took pictures together. She says, this is your proof. So in addition, I shared with Michelle that I'm also a YouTuber who has a blog, Yin and Yang Living, that is honoring my late sister's son, because I always say my sister's son died of stress and unhappiness, and son's message to the world is to not die of stress and unhappiness. Live your best life. Live a spiritual and holistic life. Align yourself with these spiritual energies, and you will see how wonderful the universe opens up to you. And so when she heard that my sister's son, my name is Moon, she immediately made the connection, and she said to me, she's so wise, she says, Moon, in the physical world, the sun shines on the moon, and that moon reflects that light. And that's what you're doing with Yin and Yang Living. You're shining your sister's light, and that light is now being shined out into the world to promote these higher messages to people who are watching these videos. I mean, I could not believe the wisdom that she holds. I mean, I was just flabbergasted, because when I was her age, I did not have even remotely the wisdom that she does. I mean, I think she's only in her 20s. And it made me think, wow, that's why she's Michelle Phan, because she has this wisdom. She gets it. She gets it at such a young age. So I thanked her for being so wise. I thanked her because her influence is so big. You know, when you have 9 million YouTube subscribers, you have a huge influence and you have a responsibility. So I thanked her for her wisdom. And she encouraged me to stay on this path, because this is my soul's path. And so I told Michelle, I said, I truly believe that our meeting was synchronicity, and she agreed. And this story really illustrates to you how powerful these universal life force energies are when we just live in the flow. They are powerful beyond measure, and synchronicities can happen in our lives all the time if we just tap into these universal life force energies. So I want to elaborate on the definition of synchronicity. What is synchronicity? When do I feel synchronicity? And synchronicity for me, in my definition, is really when we live in our truth. when we live in our truth, which means that we are living in our soul's path. And when we live in our soul's path, we are living in the flow, right? We are not that salmon that's going up the river. We're more like the salmon that's going down the river, right? There's no effort. It's effortless. It's peaceful. It's serene. It's living in the flow. And when you live in that flow, the cooperative components, all of the cooperative components, all of these universal life force energies, chi, reiki, whatever you want to call it, source energy, God, all of these universal life force energies start to come together in ways that seem magical, synchronous. Like you always at the right place at the right time. You're always meeting the right people. All of a sudden, money flows to you. All of a sudden, things just appear and pop. Synchronous events. That's because we're living in the flow. And so, how do we live in that flow? How do you get into that downstream as opposed to upstream? How do you start living in synchronous ways in that flow? And the way to live in that flow is to release all resistance, is to absolutely surrender and release to the universe, release to this infinite wisdom, the higher consciousness, God, source energy, this universal life force energy. You're releasing all of your negative emotions from the past, current, or any anxiety. So any fear, any doubt, any lack of self-worth, any guilt, you forgive. Any negative emotion that's residing in yourself, you're releasing that to the universe. And once you release that to the universe, that is when you start living in the flow. Because through that release, what you're saying to the universe is that I trust you 1,000,000%. I blindly trust you. I have blind faith in your infinite wisdom. I have blind faith in this universal life force energies that's going to bring me all the cooperative components that I need to live a magical life. That's what you're saying to the universe when you release all of those negative emotions. That's what you're telling the universe. And so of course the universe is bringing all the cooperative components together for you. It's always doing it. But what happens is when we live in the state of resistance, we have like what I call a dam up. You know how you place a dam so the water can't flow? Well, that's our resistance. Our resistance is that dam. We've got it up. And as soon as we break down that dam or that dam goes down, that water is now flowing to us, right? And that's what's happening. When you release all of those negative emotions and you completely surrender to the universe, now all of the great things that the universe has for you, that's waiting for you to receive, is now flooding in, like that water just flooding in. Abraham Hicks, my favorite law of attraction teacher, has another analogy. She talks about the cork that's floating on the water. You know how the cork always just naturally wants to float above the water? Seamlessly, peacefully, flawlessly? Well, when we have resistance in our bodies, in our minds, we're keeping that cork down. We're pressing it down under the water. So that cork can't float. The natural state of that cork is to float on the water. But with all of that resistance, we're keeping that cork down. And so goodness cannot come to us. Synchronicity cannot come to us. The universe wants to give us all this magical experience, all this magical stuff. The universe only wants to give us good. The universe only has our back. But we're keeping that cork down, and so we can't receive. We cannot live in the flow. And that's why surrendering, releasing, And absolutely trusting, blind faith trust in this universe is the secret to living in the flow and experiencing synchronicities in your life, like I did with Phan. That's how it works. These life force energies are so big. They're there to bring us anything that we want. It's also called law of attraction. You're raising your vibrational energetic frequency, and then the universe is just matching it. I raised it to meet Phan. She was here, we were here, so we met. Now this is called synchronicity. And you think it's a miracle, but it's not a miracle. That's the way the universe works. That is your natural state of being. Your natural state of being is to live in that flow. So take down that dam, let the cork float up on the water, and live a synchronous life. So if you live in your truth, which is living in your soul's path, then you're living in the flow, and then you can experience many synchronicities in your life. So share some of your amazing synchronicities that you've experienced in your life. Share your story below, because your feedback and comments really help me and my community at large. And if you like this video, please make sure to share it and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to visit all of my spiritual and holistic living tips, just go to my website at yinandyangliving.com. Namaste.